Hello, pre-calculus sufferers. Today, we are going to exclusively talk about vectors, because that's the only topic that is going to be on the midterm that we have not covered. As I've mentioned, the midterm is going to be through probably Google Forms, where you'll simply go into Google Classroom between a certain time frame. You will write your name, complete the questions on the Google form, and then just submit it in that sitting. Please make sure you're somewhere that has a stable internet connection, because if it closes on you, I won't be able to open it back up. And that rule will be in place to prevent cheating. So please make sure you have nothing. You are in a place and you're sitting for that exam period that there's nothing that could go wrong. However, we've covered everything from variation to the 3D geometry and 2D geometry, which, given that you'll be home, you can actually look at your formulas for this. So, yay. You've also got your derivatives and integrals and all that jazz. So we talked about almost everything except for really vectors. And so today we're just going to exclusively do some examples of that. So, for example, if you had an arrow here and an arrow here, this looks like it's about twice the length. So let's say this is 10 and this is 5. And if this is a 90-degree angle, this looks about halfway to 90, a little more maybe. So let's say this is 50 degrees. Great. So here's our problem. And let's say I'm asking you for magnitude and for direction. Now remember, direction is actually just saying, when we have a triangle, what are our angles? And I'll show you how I'd like you to format that on the test in this worksheet. So, first things first. This is a problem because the base of this triangle is connected to the base of this ray is connected to the base of this ray. And we know that it's supposed to be tip to tail, which means that it's supposed to be, let's say we can move this piece over here, or we can move this piece up here. But it needs to look like it's one continuous line. So I'm going to move it over, because I always move it over for some reason. So I'll keep this guy here. But I'm going to move this arrow to the right side. So this is still 5, this is still 10. And this was 50. So to get this angle, we're going to say 180 minus 50 degrees, which would give us 130 degrees. So we now have the triangle we will be using to solve this problem. And we have 2 of the sides, and we're going to be looking for this one. This side is our magnitude. So in solving for this triangle side, we are actually finding the magnitude, step 1. So I gave you guys your formula, which you will now have on your exam. Thank you, Corona. And it was m squared equals x squared plus y squared minus 2xy cosine of our angle. Now, all we have to do is plug in our numbers. Now, which one's x and which one's y? I don't care, neither should you. I'm going to make the smaller one x because it works for my brain better that way, but you can do whatever you want. So m squared, we don't know, equals x squared, so that's 5 squared, plus y squared, 10 squared, minus 2 times 5 times 10 cosine of the angle we just got, which is 130 degrees. I can simplify this a little bit. This guy is 25, and this guy's 100. So these guys are 125 minus 5 times 10 is 50. 50 times 2 is 100. So 100 cosine of 130. This now looks a little nicer to plug into my calculator. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. First, I will push mode, make sure I am in degrees, and I am. So I type in 125 minus 100 cosine of 130. Just like that. And once I've typed it in, I get a number that's approximately 189.27. I'll round that to 189.3. Now remember, we're bringing this equal sign down, which means we're still solving for m squared. So to get rid of a square, we square root. And so the square root of 189.3 gives me 13.75. I'll round that up to 13.8. So m is 13.8. Now the question that we have to ask is, does that actually make sense? Well, yes, it most certainly makes sense. And the reason we know it makes sense is because this piece is 10, this piece is 5. This is the kind of the hypotenuse. It looks like the biggest line, right? So it has to be bigger than 5, and it most certainly has to be bigger than 10. So it's 13, which means it's very clearly the right size. So hang on, I have to pull something up real quick. And I refuse to edit this video, so you're just going to have to wait. Ha ha ha. Sorry. If I remember, I might put a timestamp up here so you know when to skip to. Because I'm going to be a little lazy and I'm not going to edit this. All right, so now I have to find my direction. Now to find our direction, we are going to say x equals y sine of x over sine of y. Now remember that these guys are angles and these guys are sides. And remember that the way to find out what angle is related to what side will be whoever it is across from. So these guys are related. This angle and this side, this angle and this side are related because they're across, and this angle and this side are related because they're across. Just for the sake of sanity, I'm going to pick this angle, and I'm going to be solving for this. And I'll mark him with my symbol so that we know that this is what I'm looking for. So I know M is 13.8, and I know the angle for M is 130. So I can plug those in for one of my things. I'm going to do it for y, because why not? So instead of writing y and sine of y, I'm going to write 13.8 in sine of 130. And now I'm looking for sine of x in my side. So I'm solving for this angle, I don't know it, and I'm using this side because it's across, so that's 5. So now I have 5 equals 13.8 sine of angle over sine 130. So I could start a couple different ways. I like to get rid of my fractions first. You can do it however you want, which means to get rid of something in the denominator, I'll multiply both sides by sine 130. So these cancel out, and now I have sine 135, I'll rewrite it. 5 sine 130 equals 13.8 sine of my angle. Now I got to solve for my angle, so I got to divide both sides by 13.8. Yeehaw. These cancel. So now I have sine of my angle equals 5 sine of 130 over 13.8. Now, last thing I have to do is type this in my calculator. So I have 5 sine 130. That gives me that. Divided by 13.8. Divided by 13.8. I got some ugly number like this. And now, to get rid of my sine, I have to take the inverse sine of my answer. So, to find my final angle, I have to take the inverse sine, which is second sine, of that number. On most of these calculators, you can just scroll up one and hit enter to copy paste. You could also just type in 0.27. And I got 16.1. Okay, so this angle is 16.1. That's a small angle. So now I have 16.1, I have 130, and I have this third angle, which I don't know. So what is my third angle? How do I find that? Well, all these angles have to add up to be 180, so I could say 130 plus 16.1 is 146.1. I could subtract that from 180 and get 33.9. So my third angle is 33.9. Yeah, these problems are gross and they are big. But here's what I'm looking for from your work, because on this exam, I will need you to send me a worksheet for these problems. So first things first, I'm looking for that you moved your angle, your line, to the right side. So I'm looking to make sure that you know how to do tip to tail. Make the triangle. Step 2, I'm looking for M. Step 3, I'm going to be looking for your angle. In step 4, I'll be looking for your third angle. So let's do another one. Let's say you have this and this. Let's say this guy is 3, this guy is 4, and this looks like about 125 degrees. So first I'm going to redraw the triangle. I'm going to move this that way. So this is 3. I'll move this angle right here. This is 4. And now I have a new angle. To get this angle, I say 180 minus 25. Or minus 125, sorry. And that gives me 55. All right. These are the pieces that I will be using. This is step 1, and I need to find my magnitude, which is the third side. So once again, I'm going to plug it into my equation. M squared equals, I'm going to say 3 is x and 4 is y. That's 3 squared plus 4 squared. That's squared, I promise. Minus 2 times x times y, so 2 times 4 times 3. Cosine of my angle. Simplify this. M squared equals 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 9 plus 16 is 25, minus 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24, cosine of the angle I just found, which is 55. So I plug this in my calculator. 25 minus 24 cosine 55, and I get 11.2. So this is m squared equals 11.2. I got to square root both sides to get m, and m looks like it's going to be 3.3. So step 1, step 2. Now I'm going to use my newfound 3.3 to find the direction. So the direction is found by using x equals y sine of x over sine of y. I'm going to once again use y for my m. So m is 3.3 and m's angle is 55, and that's because they're across from each other. So I'll say the side is 3.3 and the angle was 55. Now I just pick another random angle. I'll do the top one. And the top one is across from 3. So that's the side length 3. And I'm looking for my angle. So now that I have this, I can solve. So I like to get rid of my fraction first. So I'll multiply both sides by sine of 55. These cancel. So I'm left with 3 sine 55 equals 3.3 sine of angle. To get rid of the 3.3, I divide both sides by 3.3. And now I plug this in the calculator. So 3 sine 55 gives me that number, and that divided by 3.3. I get 0.74. So 0.74 equals sine of angle. The way I get this angle and not the sine is to take sine inverse of that number. So last step, second sine 0.74, I get 47.7. So this angle is 47.7. So now I have an angle of 55 and an angle of 47.7. So I subtract both of those numbers from 180, and I will get my third angle, and then I'm done. So 180 minus 55 then that number minus 47.7. And I get 77.3. So, what was I looking for? I wanted the original triangle drawn. I wanted M. I wanted your direction, your first direction. And then using that direction and your original angle, I wanted you to be able to find the third side, which is, or the third angle, which is 77.3. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely raw. But let's talk about what you need to do. So, first off, you need to have this video handy for when you take this exam, because you should probably watch this video alongside your projects or your midterm so that you can have it guide you through the steps. However, if you are an individual who wanted to make this exam up or this test up, I'm still offering that as an opportunity. I'm going to write down these problems for you in just a second, and I'm going to ask you to have these problems solved on a piece of paper. You need to redraw it on your own piece of paper, solve it on your own, send me a picture of your answers all circled and worked out, and I need it by 3:30 p.m. Monday. If you can get it in by the usual end of the school day, and you can have your work in, I will grade it as a normal test. If you make less than a 50, I will not count it. If you make above a 50, I will count it. So just make sure that you follow the steps. If you follow the steps, your answers should be completely correct. Just don't do anything silly. Here are your problems. Number 1. This side is 12, and this side is 5. This angle measure is going to be 39 degrees. Number 2. You've got this guy. You've got this guy. This angle measure is 20, and this angle measure is 15. Or, I'm sorry, these sides are 20 and 15, and this angle measure is about 165 degrees. And lastly, but not leastly, we've got a third problem. And this problem is going to be this guy, where this side, where this side is 7, this side is 6, and this angle is 90 degrees. Okay? So you've got 3 problems to work out on a separate piece of paper with your name on it. If you can get these to me by 3:30 p.m. on Monday, this will count as a test grade. So if you need that extra little boost before the midterm, then go for it. If you have any problems leading up till now with your grade and you need me to re-look at anything, if you think there's something that I did not put in the grade book, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be visiting my classroom again on Monday or Tuesday, and so I can look for any missing work or anything. Other than that, God bless you, stay safe, be smart, and best of luck. Oh, and also, if you are not taking the test, you still need to take notes on what I just gave you, write it down for yourself, and then send me a picture of those notes for class credit today.